Welcome, my dear friends. We are Semaine. We send you the light of Sirius, that star system holding aspects of God consciousness for your planet, your solar system, and your species. May you fill up with this light so that you can radiate it outward unto all who may receive it. Good. We hope that this recording finds you well at the time you are listening to it. There are many changes going on in the Earth plane right now. And as we have mentioned in previous talks, there has been a thinning of the veils between the physical plane and the astral plane. And this thinning is, we would say, not necessarily increasing, but there are pockets where the veil is thinner at times than at other times. So it is wavering, if you will. We are addressing this to light workers particularly, and those who are psychically sensitive, because many of you have been becoming aware of this. Now, this has been going on for a number of years. And those who, again, are more psychically attuned have had some awareness of this. But we've noticed that in the recent months, it's become more and more intense. When you couple this with certain energies that are coming from higher dimensions and are affecting astral energies, which then are stimulating the emotional body of mankind, then the combination of this involves an increase in the experience of astral energies, an intensification. So some of you may notice that you have become more emotional. One thing that we want to point out, which is not necessarily well understood, but that is depression. Now, we are not speaking of clinical depression per se, but more of a feeling of being down, even to the point where you as an individual may want to shut down mentally and emotionally for a while. Checking out is how the channel refers to it. Well, more and more of you may be feeling that urge to check out. You may be feeling that things are not working out as well as you'd hoped, and you may feel uncertain about the future and what it may hold for you and or others. Although these feelings, of course, can be quite normal, even for those who have generally flowing emotional bodies, at this time we are seeing that it's being a bit more exacerbated among particularly light workers. And so this is the type of depression that we are talking about. A downward slide emotionally that you may feel that you are having difficulty getting out of. This is a reaction internally on all of these shifts that are occurring, particularly coming from the astral plane. Now, again, some of you are sensitive, possibly clairsentient, clairaudient, or even clairvoyant, may be sensing, hearing, or even seeing astral entities, beings who normally reside on the astral plane and who normally you do not connect into unless you want to. But you may sense, for instance, that someone has come into your room even though you may be the only one there, or that something is crossing your path, or something is looking over your shoulder, or even whispering in your ear. No, you are not losing your mind, as it were, but what it is that you are sensing some of these astral beings. Now, there is nothing wrong with this per se. There is no real danger attached to these connections, as it were. But, of course, it can be a bit offsetting and even startling, particularly for those whose senses are more developed. It can be easily remedied by grounding. We hopefully, at the time that you are hearing this, will have a couple of articles on the website that the channel has set up, which will deal with basic techniques for grounding. It has a multitude of benefits, but one of the things it can do is strengthen your aura, your energy field, in such a way that these, we will call them contacts from the fourth dimension, or the astral plane rather, will not be as intrusive, and that you can determine when you wish to have those types of contacts, if at all. And we know some of you would prefer not to have any type of connection such as we've described with the astral plane or astral beings, and that you prefer to work with beings on higher planes, and that is understandable. So grounding is one of the techniques that can assist you with strengthening your aura, which again has many benefits, as well as helping you to keep your aura strong enough so that you won't have intrusive connections with the astral plane. Now, again, if you are feeling down or depressed, or you are sensing that you want to check out, as we said earlier, strengthening your aura, grounding, will also assist you. Because this type of reaction, or those types of reactions, are an escape, a method of escape. And although, again, there may be times that you do need to walk away from certain things, clear your mind, body, and emotions. When you are depressed or down, that is not the healthiest place to be. Again, we're not speaking of a more normal type of reaction. which is part of a flowing emotional body, but one where there is more and more of a tendency that has come into play. Grounding can also help you with that because, again, as there is an emotional component and actually an emotional body as part of your aura, this can help free up any blockages and to get the emotional energy more flowing so that you can move back and forth into a neutral state. Again, experiencing emotion is normal and is a necessary part of the earth plane experience. But it is when one becomes mired in certain types of emotions, particularly lower emotions such as sadness and anger, then that is an example of blockages that may need to be addressed. Now, of course, some of you, particularly those of you who have some training as healers, have a good understanding of how to work with the different energy bodies that you are contained within. And so you can work more directly, if you wish to, on the emotional body and the related, of course, etheric, physical, and mental bodies. But for those of you who may not have that training, that is why we suggest grounding, because it is a very basic but very powerful way to help restore your energy. You are allowing the greater energy of the planet itself to come through and restore your energy bodies. It is much like resetting your computer or one of your electronic devices in such a manner that it can work more easily and effortlessly. And so these are very important things to keep in the forefront of your mind right now, my friends, because as we are seeing it in terms of out in time, this pattern of the thinning of the veils is going to be in place for some time. There was another energy pattern which was coming from Betelgeuse that was mitigating some of this, but that pattern has now basically dissipated, and for the time being we do not see it coming back. And so most of the energies that are being affected are being sourced from these higher dimensional beings that we have mentioned previously. And it is causing a very strong energy reaction on the astral plane. Now, of course, these are all ascension energies, and they are meant to help develop the emotional body of mankind. We can't reiterate this enough, but as a group, as a species, it is very important now that the species embarks upon an accelerated spiritual development. This would be en masse, and with spiritual development, particularly when you are moving into an accelerated phase, it is very important that the emotional body is developed, is very well developed, matured, if you will. Because it is that energy which is the foundation upon which that spiritual development will be built. And if you are working with an immature emotional body, then that spiritual development will be much more difficult. The process itself will be much more difficult and drawn out. And so learning to control the emotions, learning to understand not only the power of emotions, but how they work in your life, in manifesting, in energy work, and how they can direct energy will be a very important part of your learning process. Once again, when we say control, we are not speaking of in a tight and manipulative way, but learning to basically train the emotions in such a way that although they can operate naturally and in a flowing manner, they can do so under your conscious awareness and guidance. So because of this, it is unconscious material, such as beliefs and attitudes, which will need to be addressed first. For there is much surrounding them that includes the emotions. That is what you might call the glue that holds all of them together, these concepts. And as the Seth entity has said many times in their channeling, that it is your beliefs that form the basis of your reality. And it was true when first spoken and remains so. And so many of you are now examining your beliefs, your attitudes, and long-held assumptions. And you are finding many emotions surrounding them. If you have not been addressing this, then you may find that some of your emotional reactions that you are having are tied into your attachment to some of these beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions. So that work, which is basic work, will be necessary, we will say, for a number of years, perhaps even decades. And as mankind then begins to develop, you will begin to see more clarity surrounding emotions as well as mental concepts. And so, my friends, we hope that this has been helpful to you and that you are managing your emotions well, and that you will, if you already know how to, ground yourselves and do any healing work that you need or you may feel you need done. And so we leave you with these words in our love and light and that Syrian God consciousness. May you fill up with this light so that you can radiate it outward unto all who may receive it. Good day for now, my loving friends.